What about the cubed root? What's the cubed root of 7xy, the whole thing to the third power? Do we need to worry about absolute values in this case? No. What's the index? The index is 3. It's odd. So if you go back to that definition, when n is odd, the nth root of a to the n is just a. So what's acting like a in this case? 7xy. So yeah, the cubed root of 7xy, the whole thing cubed, is just 7xy. But in part f, it's n is what in this case? We have the square root of negative 7c, the whole thing squared. When you don't see what root it is, you know that it's root 2, right? So n is even. N is root 2. We have the square root of negative 7c, the whole thing squared. How does that simplify? No, that's exactly what we were talking about. When n is odd, it doesn't have to be in absolute values. Yeah. But here n isn't odd. N is even, and you're taking negative 7c and squaring it. So what's the square root of that? So remember, we're trying to make use of the definition that says the nth root of a to the n is, under certain conditions, it's equal to a. Under other conditions, it's equal to the absolute value of a. Which one do we use? We've got to use absolute values here. But what's acting like a? Negative 7c. So we've got to say the answer is the absolute value of negative 7c. But we can simplify that because the absolute value splits up over multiplication. So it simplifies to be, yeah. The absolute value of negative 7 is 7. So 7 times the absolute value of c is your final answer. Nah, I probably wouldn't say too much if you went right to there. Yeah. Okay, how about the fourth root of 625x to the fourth? Well, if you wanted to, you could split up the radical. How would the radical split up? So it's multiplication right there. So you could make it the fourth root of 625 times fourth root of x to the fourth. Like that. What's the fourth root of 625? Yeah, just guess at it. You'll probably guess right. It's a nice number. I think that would be the square root, probably. 5. Yeah, but it's 5. And then what's the fourth root of x to the fourth? Well, if you knew x was positive, you'd be right, by the way. Yeah, if you had some directions that said, hey, this variable is positive, then you'd be right. The fourth root of x to the fourth is x. But you don't know, so you got to use absolute values. So it's 5 times the absolute value of x. Does that make sense? Okay. For part H, we have 9 minus 6b plus b squared underneath the radical. We cannot split up the radical over subtraction or addition, so don't try to individually take the square root of 9, subtract off the square root of 6b. You can't do that. But it does turn out that the radical factors, the radicand, rather, factors. Anybody recognize it? Yeah, well, you're on the right track, but no. 3 minus, and by the way, it's important that you use the letter that you're given. So 3 minus b in this case times 3 minus b, and then what do you get? Square root of 3 minus b quantity squared. Oh, all right. So it's a square root of something squared. Is it going to equal 3 minus b? Good, in absolute value. Because we don't know if 3 minus b is positive or negative, do we? No, we just don't know.